And here we go. Hey,
Yeah.
okay. So, hey, y'all. Thanks for joining us again. This is actually week 39. Can you believe it?
Really?
Time flies when you're
Holy
having
shit.
fun.
Okay.
Yeah. That is actually this is show 39, and we've had a couple breaks in there. So we'll be coming up on the year here shortly.
Yeah,
too,
we will.
when we transition this from the radio.
Yeah.
Doing this weekly. I want to talk a little bit about the. I don't know if it's a motivational phrase, but I heard it many years ago. Can't tell you who it was from, but the phrase, a lot of people don't do well because they don't feel well.
Yeah,
there's a lot of different ways to go with that, but
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know exactly.
And that goes back to the essence of nutrition and health and even mental health. You know, we don't perform at our even close to our peak often because we just don't feel well, and oftentimes it's because of our own doing.
Oh, I agree 100%. I think as I've gotten older, you know, in my, well, I guess late 40s now, I'm still in my mid 40s until August when I turn 47. So in my mid 40s, I have learned that health and wellness is exponentially more important than it was 5, 10, or even 20 years ago.
Okay, why do you think it's more important today?
For me, like personally,
okay.
I think, just in general, yeah, it should be. But for me personally, you know, when you're younger, I feel like you have more energy. You're more vital.
I would hope so.
You do. As I've gotten older, I realize how much more care I have to give myself.
100%.
From physical well-being
100%.
to mental well-being, to what I eat, to what I think, to people I associate myself with. But these are all, when I look at wellness, I look at it from a holistic perspective, right? I'm running a firm. I have 10 people and their families I am responsible for. That is a weight that I carry every day, and I carry it with pleasure. Like it's something that I live to serve the people. So I look at, how do I make sure I'm at my best? So I start with my physical health. Am I physically healthy? Do I feel good every day physically? Am I working out? Am I eating right to feel good? Am I keeping hydrated? I mean, I go to the bathroom 1,000 times a day, so obviously I think I'm pretty hydrated. Mentally, how am I? Like, I journal every day. Like, I meditate, so that keeps my mental health in check. Socially, like, who am I hanging around with? Am I around people that are positive and inspiring and uplifting? I'm not gossiping. I'm not around negative people. The people I spend my time with outside of the working hours are people that make me feel good, that inspire me, that we're talking about ideas, we're not talking about people. These are all pieces to wellness, I believe. And I think if you're running a business or an entrepreneur, you have to take this shit seriously. I mean, anybody should take it seriously, but I think if you're in charge of other people and responsible for other people, or have people in your charge, your wellness, health and wellness should be a top priority. And it truly is my top priority in life right now.
Do you think a lot of people don't have a great opinion of their work or their company they're working for, or the task at hand? Oftentimes they have a negative view toward it. It goes beyond the redundancy or whatever. It really has to do with the way they feel at the time that they're performing the work.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a piece of it. And that's a good way of looking at it, because I do think, I know myself, right? If I have a suit on, I always perform better, and it's not because the suit has any special powers. It's I've put myself together. I look at it like this is a uniform to me. Like I'm going on a baseball field. When you go on a mental switch, it's a mental switch. It really is. Like, I know that if I go to the office one day and I'm in jeans and like a dress down day, which we do occasionally, it's my day to do admin BS stuff that isn't really mentally taxing on me.
Right.
So I don't have to perform at my best. I just have to get through the shit. But if I know I'm coming in and I've got to perform well, I'm going to be around people or in front of people, this is what I'm going to wear, because it makes me feel better and I perform better. That's me. Maybe not everybody, but I think there is some credence to that across the board. I mean, look at you, and you're a realtor, right? If you go dress casually, you're probably going to say things a certain way or carry yourself a certain way. But if you come dressed differently, you're going to be perceived differently. You're going to be related to differently.
I call it the magic sports coat. It's like always get kidded because when I see they have a sports jacket on, they obviously know I'm doing business.
Yeah.
And it could be something as simple as, for me, it's a dress shirt, a button-down dress shirt, sometimes a tie, but definitely that sports jacket. I go in a sports jacket mode, I call it, where my mental, you know, I could be doing anything. I used to do things with my kids athletically and then go to a real estate appointment and literally have that sports jacket in the car, you know, button the extra button on the shirt, throw the sports jacket on, and now I am in real estate mode. I could switch it like that. And I used to laugh. It was because of the jacket was the trigger.
Yes. How you appear matters. And it's funny because I've had this conversation at least 10 times in the past week with Matt and people in my office. Because I was in this Young Lawyers Association fashion show last week. I was wearing David Allen stuff.
Right.
But I was there was judges there and other lawyers. And I was talking to one of the judges at the event, and the judge made a very pointed comment. He said, you're a corporate lawyer. And he was looking at what I was wearing. He said, I don't know how you practice law, but knowing you're a corporate lawyer, if I was a business, I would pick you over anybody else here because your socks match your pocket square and match your tie. He's like, what that tells me is you pay attention to details.
Absolutely
meaning
right.
I believe, even whether it's right or wrong, subconsciously, my mind is telling me you are going to pay attention to the things other people don't see when it comes to my business. And he was saying my profession, lawyers, it's gotten like people have been dressing down and not taking it as seriously. And he said, and this is a judge saying, it still matters. We are still judged by the way we appear and by the way we show up.
Certainly.
So I look at, I'd rather be overdressed for a situation than underdressed. Like I want to show up. And because again, and Matt was telling about this article he read, which I want to read, and it was a really good point about like why men should dress up or anybody. But when you go to meet a client, dressing up for a client shows you respect that person.
Somehow,
not only respect yourself, but you respect the person you're going. They're so important that you made extra effort to dress up for them. And that's a lost thing. So it goes back to that feeling good, you perform better. I know that if I walk into a meeting casual, and there are some clients that I will do that because that's what they want, right? They're that type of person. Like a suit makes them uncomfortable. So you do have to gauge the clients to whom you're working with or with whom you're working. But for the most part, like I know if I'm in a suit, like I perform differently. I think differently. I'm sharper. I'm more focused. I carry myself a little bit. Maybe no one notices it because I carry myself, but I notice. I feel it in myself that I'm carrying myself. It's almost like that you're triggered a business mode, right? It is. Like it is. Me, that's how I view it. Yeah, I mean, truly, it is like a switch. Like once I'm dressed and I put my suit jacket on and I get in the car to go to the office, it's like a switch goes off. Like I'm in the mode. Yeah,
I think too that we don't, as a people, we don't often eat well. We don't give our bodies the exercise they need. It needs, and I do believe that is a huge problem for a lot of Americans as to why they don't feel well at 9 a.m. when they show up at the office. And whether it's just, the sugar spikes during the day, the caffeine spikes during the day, going into a food coma after a big lunch at noon, whatever the trigger is, I do think that there is just a bunch of Americans trying to do great work, but I think they're hampered by their diet and their lack of exercise. And I think that's hurting American business.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what you put in your body matters. I know that about myself. If I eat something shitty, I feel different. I'm sluggish. I'm less focused.
Certainly. We all are.
Even if I go out and have drinks one night, which I don't really drink very often, if it's usually for business or socially, like every once in a while, I feel like crap the next day. I'm not focused. I'm not. And I wear one of those Whoop bands that kind of measures your sleep. So anytime I have a drink, I don't sleep as well. Right. Like I'm usually in the red. I'm not recovered. Right. And that's the other thing that I've learned probably over the past 2 years, how important recovery is. I've been putting a lot more focus on recovery, not sleep necessarily, but like doing the ice baths, doing like I use compression sleeves on my legs and on my shoulders, like doing foam rolling, like trying to recuperate my body, like letting my mind rest, not sleep, but rest. Like just take 10 minutes, close my mind and let my mind just like wander.
Mhm.
Like those recovery things have helped me tremendously as well. And I didn't take that seriously in the past. I said, I'm healthy. I'll just recover because I can recover. But now I'm like actively doing things that help me recover, help me, help my body recover and help my mind recover.
I get it. And I also, to add on to that, I think that where we are with the obesity, it's a tough conversation. I get it. So I want to tread lightly here, but where we are with that term obesity in terms of all the different interpretations of that, with Americans being overweight or significantly overweight, I think the negative mindset that it can put some folks in permeates throughout their entire life, not just their work life, their entire life.
Yeah.
I had a very obese friend, great friend of mine. I don't see him much anymore. He moved away, but I mean, he was tipping 300, 350.
Yeah.
And I used to work side by side with him. And Rocco, I'm telling you, I would sit there and imagine. And at the time this was happening, I was probably 240 myself,
Yeah.
But he was pretty significantly big. And I could just see the pain in just going from one side of the office to the other. Everything was more laborious. Everything was more difficult. And I wonder how much of our maybe our lethargic nature could be eliminated with a little better health.
Yeah, I mean, just taking a walk, or the problem we have in America, if you go to any other country, they eat so much healthier. We have so many. You have to consciously make an effort to eat healthy. It's not easy to eat healthy in this country. From here to home, I will pass probably 15 to 20 places to stop and get fast food, shitty fast food, like quick, high calorie, high fat food. Getting something healthy, there's going to be one or two places on the way back to my house, if that, right? And healthy is kind of it's a misnomer.
Healthier,
yes,
less damaging.
Yes. So I think there's a lot of, our country has allowed us to be this way, right? Because we believe in sick care. I believe we don't believe in preventative medicine. We believe in reactive medicine. Like let's if you're sick, we'll give you a pill. We'll give you a shot. Like that's, so I think there's a little bit of that
money
play. Correct. But I do think that, I always come back to the cliche, what they say on an airplane, put your oxygen mask on first. Take care of yourself before you can take care of anybody else. That translates to health and wellness. And again, I didn't really understand the impact of that until I started running the firm and had employees that I was not. When it was just me, I didn't really think about that much. With your family, it's one thing, but I have employees now that are my responsibility. So I take care of myself so I can take care of them. If I'm not taking care of myself, how can I take care of them? I think we have to get back as a society. Look, it's not about looking a certain way or being a certain way. It's just being healthy, taking care of your health. Like there are a lot of people that are, there are heavy people that are very healthy because they're just on a journey to get healthier. I think just start walking. Like just do that. Like take 5,000 steps a day, then add 100 steps here and there. And I think just do. Everybody thinks there has to be this great shift in what you do to be healthy. It's consistent daily actions over time.
Discipline.
Yes, that's it. Consistency over intensity. Always, in all ways, is how you get healthier. And I think we as a society need to start thinking that way and trying, because it does impact everything.
I think so too. And I think that we as a society truly don't have all the negativity in regards to our lives truly in us. I think that we are exasperated because at times for a lot of our days we just don't feel good, and we know it. Sometimes maybe it's a little bit of guilt, maybe it's a little bit of I'm just resigned, this is how I am, and it's just easier to eat the donuts and watch the TV and feel like crap again tomorrow than it would be to go try to correct that eating pattern, right? I don't know, if I had the answer I'd be able to say, hey, here's the magic pill, do it. But I think that we're not, I don't think we're really negative people, Rocco. I think that we just don't feel well. I think a lot of us just don't on a daily basis. We don't feel as good as we know we probably could.
I mean, think about people you know in your life that are fit, healthy, and eat well. When was the last time you seen them lose their shit?
Right.
Or be negative, or just kind of be in that funk? Like, we all have funks every once in a while. We all have one of those days, but on a consistent basis. Like, I'm thinking of people I know that are very healthy, that take health and wellness and fitness very seriously. I can't tell you the last time, if they get mad about something, they brush it off in a day. It doesn't linger.
Certainly.
It doesn't fester. It's like, yeah, okay, shit happens, move on. Like, I got better things to worry about. I think if you are healthy and your body feels well and your mind feels well, you tend to have a more positive outlook on life in general. And when bad things happen, you can deal with them a lot easier and a lot more efficiently than you could if you weren't healthy. I truly believe that.
1,000,000%.
Just by observing other people.
I just know, I can only speak from experience, just losing over a period of 6 to 8 months, losing significant weight and getting, in terms of the typical markers, getting healthy, but also having that new mental framework that, hey, I like myself a little better. I like how I looked in the mirror when I walked by, as opposed to 6 months ago. I'm fitting in clothes that I like. It helps with the self-esteem.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It can't not help with self-esteem. Right.
Yes.
And I think that's part of mental health. That's part of maybe a new mental framework for some people.
Yeah.
Just
getting outside is good for mental health. Like, that's a lot of things too.
Sunlight,
Like, we don't spend a lot of time outside. Right? I mean, when you think about, like, I have to force, like, I've been forcing myself, because I know, like, I'm an indoor person for the most part. I'm in the office all the time. I'm working. So I even try now, like, on the weekends when I'm home, if it's sunny outside, like, even when it's 50 degrees outside, I will literally go on my back deck, take my shirt off, and just sit and just get sunlight on my body. Just because it makes me feel good. Like, you feel better.
Yeah.
And it helps your body. I may be freezing my ass off, but the sun just makes you feel good.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I bought a rather expensive treadmill during the pandemic. I was so happy I got it to supplement my daily walks in case the weather was inclement.
Yeah, right.
And I found myself putting on rain gear, buying special, waterproof sneakers, and walking in the snow. I'd rather be outside at any cost. Even I might end up at the hospital. They'll find me in a snow mound over there. But I always found myself more acclimated. And I can honestly say, in 2.5 years of having this treadmill, I've been on it 3 times, because I just rather be outside.
Yeah,
especially in the daylight when I can.
Absolutely.
There's something to being outside with me. I can only speak that it just seems like I have more of a connection with everything around me, at least when I'm outside for a period of time during that day.
Yeah. Even the grounding, like, some people believe in that, some people don't believe in it. Like, I tend to, like, I don't know what it does, but I know that when I do it, like,
you have to put your bare feet on the ground.
Bare feet on the ground, or you can use a grounding mat. Like, I also have a grounding mat. Like, in the wintertime, like, I would use that, because you can't go outside and put your feet on the ground, because they're snow covered. But it's just, I don't know what it necessarily does, and maybe it's just mental to me, but you do feel more relaxed. Like, I feel like there's just, I have a more relaxed energy about me.
Certainly.
Like, I'm not high strung. Not that I'm a high strung person in general, but I don't feel as intense inside. Like, I feel very just like I can navigate through it.
Well, movement is amazingly good for anxiety.
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying it cures anything. I'm just saying movement, and consistent movement, and increased movement and velocity, velocity over time. It's definitely, I didn't believe it until it happened to me. And when it started to happen, I said, well, that really is interesting.
Right.
Maybe I'm not this short-tempered person I started to become. Maybe, it was diet and nutritionally based for me.
Yeah.
A
lot of, I think a lot of our mental angst that we have, and the anger we face and the stress we face, a lot of it I believe stems, maybe not completely, but from what we put in our body and the lack of movement of our body.
Movement's a thing.
It really is. Like, I know if I don't get up and walk around in there, if I'm like in my office for like a long stretch of time, because I have maybe calls back to back to back, I just feel tenser.
Sure.
Like, you just have this like tension about it. Like, I just need to get up and walk.
Sure.
And just like stretch my legs. Like, people say stretch your legs. There's a reason to that. Not just for the physical of stretching your legs.
Yeah.
It just helps you kind of mentally come back to center.
See, the benefit for me now is it's the time alone, the
Yeah.
time to get myself moving. And it's amazing how clear my thoughts can become, even if I'm mentally working on something.
Mm-hmm.
When I get out there after like the first 30 minutes or so, and the pace is really good and I'm moving, it's amazing how clear some things become.
Yeah.
And my ability to stack and work through issues,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of the background noise.
Yeah.
It was there 30 minutes ago. There's a new level of clarity, and it's without fail. It's every time I need it, it's there.
Yeah. The other thing I think people, to your point, I think what people forget to do is just spend time thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Like, give yourself time to think.
Mm-hmm.
Not about anything in particular, just think without distraction. I'll do that in my office sometimes. I'll turn my chair and look out the window. People probably think I'm sleeping or I've lost my mind. If they walk by my office and they just see me staring out the window, they probably think, oh, old dude's lost his mind. But it's me just thinking. Like, I just say, I'm going to take 10 minutes, look out the window. And sometimes I'll stare, sometimes I'll count the cars that drive by. I'll look at the parkway, and then thoughts come into my head and ideas come into my head. Because I'm giving myself the space to be clear without any intention of thinking about a certain thing. It's purely an action of turning my chair, looking out the window, and just whatever comes to my head. Like, literally, there's been days where I've counted 100 cars on the parkway. Because I'm like, nothing came to my head. I just sat there and counted 100 cars drive by. Then all of a sudden, I got to do this. And something came and I wrote it down. Like, that's where I get ideas from. But because we move so fast and there's so many distractions, we don't give ourselves that space to do it. It's the
distractions.
It is.
We don't. And I think that what you just described, I'd be willing to bet is probably difficult for a lot of folks to do.
Oh, yeah.
And not that they can't do it. They can get to that point where they can find a clear, right?
Yeah.
A clear where you just described what you do when you gaze out that window.
Yep.
But I don't know if we're really wired. An example of that is the constant grab of the cell phone. When you see it, I fought that off years ago. I don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
Thank God. But I had it, and I watched children. The constant grab of the cell phone. It's like that moment of idleness is somehow we have kind of tried to banish that from society.
Yeah. Yep.
Probably because the pace that we're living.
Yeah.
But it needs to be reacquired, though.
Well, and I think you have to start learning yourself. I know myself. I'll do work in the morning when I wake up. I get up really early. I work out in the morning, but I also get some work done in the morning. But I get work done of something I either printed the night before or downloaded the night before. I won't open my email until I get to the office.
Smart.
I won't open my email. Like, I'll go on social media after, like, while I'm working out or something, just to check those things or post something. But my email, I won't open until I get to the office.
It says little things.
It's giving me space. Like,
100%.
I'm so much more productive in the morning, because if I get up at 4 and do like an hour of work before I work out, if I go to open my email, I'm going to get distracted. I'm going to try and respond to a bunch of them, and I'm not going to get anything done. So if I say I get up at 4, I'm going to grab a cup of coffee and I'm going to start this thing for the next hour and 20 minutes or hour and 15 minutes, and then go work out. Like, I'm very focused. I just do it. There's no distractions. I don't need to check my email, and my morning's planned for me. And that's how I get more things done.
Compartmentalize your life or start the process to doing.
Yeah. You don't have to do everything all at once. Like, I learned that over time. Like, just pick one thing and do it for a week. See how it feels. Like, change one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Most people don't do that. They either do nothing or try and change everything at all. Like the New Year's resolution, dilemma. January 1st, I'm going to save money, lose weight, pay off debt, get a new job, start a business, find a new wife, do all this stuff. All January 4th, people are like, fuck this, I'm not doing any of this. How about pick one thing? Pick one thing. I'm going to start walking for 10 minutes a day. Do that for 2 weeks
and track it.
Exactly.
You got to measure.
Add something. Like, the whole point of habit stacking. Like, I read a book on that, and it's just,
you turned me on to that book.
It's so good because it's these and they break it down to such simple things. Like, some of the stuff in that book were like, you flossed one tooth for 2 weeks, but the point of it was they had to build the habit of getting out the floss and putting it in their mouth. Once they did that, it's like, I'm already here. Let me floss the rest. But it sounds stupid when you say it, but when you read it and think about it, it makes complete sense. It's like the habit of just driving to the gym. Whether you go in or not isn't the goal. The goal is driving to the gym. If you drive to the gym, what is the likelihood of you turning around and going home?
Right.
Very little.
Right.
But the goal is not to go to the gym. The goal is to drive to the parking lot of the gym.
Small incremental steps.
Correct.
Headed down the path of where you ultimately want to be.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, walked past the mirror during the beginning of the pandemic and hated what I saw.
Yeah.
And said, I hate the jog. I'm not going to jog. No one hates to run more than me. But I can walk. I can get this fat ass up, and I can walk. And you know what? And I definitely can harness in this bad menu of food that I eat daily.
Mm-hmm.
I can do those two things. I can start the walk and track it, and over time I'll get better.
Yeah.
But I can start today also of looking and examining the things that I'm eating and starting to eliminate some things and bring some things in. Not overnight, but start the process. Yep. And then like 10 minutes became 20, became 40, became an hour. Then that hour got faster, and I tracked it all. And then it just became a habit that I ended up loving because there was other benefits besides looking good, feeling better, wearing 32 pants. I mean, before getting to those points, it was how I was feeling, like the endorphin starting to blow through my brain. I wasn't running a marathon, but I was walking pretty briskly. And guess what? Endorphins are blowing through my brain. I seem to be in a better mood.
Yeah. Had
a couple big disappointments business-wise during the pandemic. Who didn't?
Right.
I worked through them by putting myself out there with my own thoughts and physically, I say, exercising from my mind because it's a thing. If you work on yourself and your mental self, it yields benefits quickly. And a lot of it for me was tied to nutrition and exercise. I can only speak from experience.
Yeah.
But it was hugely, the person that I was at the beginning of the pandemic, I had to change. I could not have kept going in that path.
Yeah.
It was dangerous.
Yeah. I mean, and the fact that you were, in tune enough to be aware of the danger of it is what's important to note. Because I think a lot of people aren't even paying attention.
Well, find motivation anywhere. Stand in front of it. I challenge you to this. If you can't find the motivation, go stand in a full-length mirror, butt naked, and look at yourself for like a minute or two. And if you can honestly say that you're happy, then you are where you need to be.
Yeah.
But if you're not, then use that as motivation.
Yeah.
Find whatever motivates you. For me, it was that's shocking. And I didn't even want to step on a scale. It wasn't even, it was the visual of like, that's not me.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us feel that way. We just got to be honest with ourselves and say, hey, it's on me to fix it.
Yeah. I mean, the thing I've done for years that has always helped me kind of when I get in those, I don't want to say funks, but kind of need that extra motivation. I will literally, and this is going to sound stupid, but it's the truth. I will look at myself in the mirror and like talk to myself and ask myself the question, am I the man I thought I would be at this point in my life?
That's heavy.
It's a heavy question to ask yourself, but it's, I can't remember. I got it from either a book I read years ago. Am I the man I wanted to be at this age? Like at this part of my life? Like the question kind of varies, but it's asking myself, am I who I wanted to be at this point in my life? And if I can't say yes, that means I have work to do. And I've very rarely said yes. Not because I'm a negative person, because I have more in the tank. It's not I'm unhappy with myself. It's I haven't arrived yet. Like I'm nowhere near where I want to be.
It's an interesting how success builds.
Yeah.
Like you can say that today. If you looked in the mirror today and you asked that question, you said, no, I'm not where I want to be yet. True.
Yeah.
But look at all you have done to put yourself on the path to attain that.
Here comes the second part, because the second question I asked myself, am I the guy that I wanted to be 5 years ago? If I don't answer yes to that question, there's a problem.
Okay.
And that's kind of how I always look at it. I've always answered yes to that question because the second question shows progress.
Sure.
The first question shows I'm still on the path. Like, am I the man I wanted to be at this point in my life? No. Am I the man I wanted to be 5 years ago? Yes. Right. And you have to, in me, like I've always had to ask myself both of those questions.
That's good.
Because if I don't ask the second question, then I'm just stuck in, well, fuck, I got more to do. And I didn't make any progress. By asking myself that question.
It's like a reaffirmation of what
because you have to sometimes look back, and it's sometimes we forget about that.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm constantly, I've been told by everybody, I never stop and smell the roses.
Right.
that is my way of stopping and following the roses, about letting people know I'm stopping and following the roses. Like, I truly, and this is probably the first time I ever talked about this, but that's something I've always done. Like, I will ask myself, am I the man I wanted to be 5 years ago?
Yeah. And as you know, because you do it,
yeah,
journaling helps you stay aligned with that path.
Yes.
Or at least take those moments to look back and say, okay, yeah, I'm on the path. Look what I've gotten to this point. So I am still on the path, and I've made measurable progress.
Yeah.
Here's my proof.
Yes. I'll go back and look at my goal journals.
Here's my proof.
I used to write down 10 goals all the time. I'll go look back just to confirm what I'm telling myself. Okay, am I bullshitting myself? I'll go back and look, at 2019, 2020, what my goals were. I'm like, I blew this out of the fucking water.
Right.
But I'm still not where I want to be or where I think I can go. But I know back then I'm exactly who I wanted to be.
But you're also wired in a way, correct me if I'm wrong, I would guess that you're never going to answer that first question affirmatively.
No, never. Because I don't,
no matter where you are.
Because here's why, right? I think if you answer that question, yes, you've chosen to stop growing as a person. So I don't ever, even if I'm, whatever the upper echelon of whatever I'm doing is, there's still more to grow. There's still more to learn. Like, this world is so vast and there's so much information out there that I don't even know what I don't know yet. So if I ever said yes to that, I'm an idiot, because there's no stopping to growth unless you choose to stop. I would just never choose to stop.
So let me ask you this question, slight right.
Okay.
You'll love this.
Okay.
So I am approaching the big 6-0 here, year and a half. And at this particular age, although not as frequent as prior decades, I'm guessing, but at this particular age, I've got a circle of old friends and so forth that are approaching the 62, 65 range. People are thinking about the big R, retirement, right?
Yeah.
And I think I've said it on multiple podcasts here. And I think you and I bounced this around a couple of years ago once. I have the mindset that I will never retire.
Yeah.
Providing I don't incur a health issue or something that knocks me out that way. I have no desire or intention to do the traditional American retirement. Does not interest me.
Yeah.
I'm not against it.
Sure.
By all means, I want people to do what they want to do. But back to the quality of life thing. The reason I'm wired that way is that I've seen enough changes in people who have retired. Some did not work out well. Some led to alcoholism. Some led to gluttonous behavior. Some led to being pretty able-bodied when they're 65, and by 67 they're dead. I mean, I've seen this happen time and time again. So that's weighing on me. But the other part about it is the way I feel at 58, Rocco, is I don't feel like my assumptions of what 58 is supposed to feel like.
Right. Yeah.
Because I don't live that way. It's a conscious decision. It's not to make me better or worse than anybody. It's just a different way to live.
I agree.
I think you can grasp that
100%.
So what is your thoughts? Although you're a little younger than I, what's your ultimate thoughts on retirement? Or is that word even coming to your vocabulary?
No, because again, I look at, I want to create a legacy with the firm, with the foundation, with all the stuff I'm doing. Is there ever going to be a point in time where I say, you know what, I'm done? Like, what am I going to do?
Right.
Like, I love what I do. Like, if I had a job I hated in a profession I hated, okay, maybe I think about not necessarily retiring, but doing something different. I love what I do. I love what I'm building. I love what I get to do and who I get to talk to every single day. I don't ever want it to stop. I may shift how I operate. I may, do less legal work, more business development, more outreach, more stuff for the foundation. But I don't see myself at 70 being like, you know what, I'm just going to get up today. I don't like to fish. I don't like to golf. Like, what am I going to do? What am I going to fill my time with? Laura would probably beat the shit out of me because I'd drive her crazy. Like, if we were home all day, like for a month together, I would probably drive her crazy. I would buy a bunch of shit I don't need.
No, we know that's bad.
I'd have a survival fucking hut. I'd probably build in the backyard. I'd end up buying like a golf cart or some stupid shit because I'm bored.
Become a prepper.
But I like to do things. Right. I like to feel like I'm using my mind.
Right.
What's that saying? An idle mind does no good.
Right.
I mean, so I don't want because again, like I know what you're saying. When you see those people that retire, you also tend to see their health slowly decline.
Yeah.
Like then you see people like a Warren Buffett, who's in his 80s, who's still sharp as a tack because he's keeping his mind sharp, reading every day.
Oh, he has a purpose.
Right.
He gets up every day with a
purpose. Right. And that's where I think a lot of people go wrong. They don't know what their purpose is. And yes, a purpose in your life can be your kids and your family, but that is a purpose to a point. And I think people get caught up saying, my purpose is my family. I get it. Like mine is too. But at a certain point in time, your kids go on. They leave the nest. So what is my purpose then? And I think people need to look at serving a bigger purpose in life. But again, I think people get caught up in, I'll figure that out when. Like, no, it's you figure it out when you figure it out. Whether it's when your kids are 20, 15, 10, before kids, and you work in an effort to fulfill that purpose. And your family becomes part of it. Your kids become part of it. I think too many people try and compartmentalize life in different ways. And I think that creates dilemmas for people. Because there is various parts of life, right? We've all done it where we try and compartmentalize our friends, our profession, our family. Like I always say, I just live, and I'm lucky enough where everything kind of meshes together, and I don't need to have these compartmentalized things in my life. And I think
how you set up your life, though, too.
You have to choose the structure of your life.
Yeah,
absolutely, you have to choose to do it, and I think it's something that you've got to make that conscious choice to do it. But I think I couldn't retire because I don't feel like I look at retirement as like my job is compartmentalized.
What's that mean? What's retire actually mean?
I don't have any idea. Like I don't.
You taught the word as a child.
Yeah,
that's what your grandpa. When you're a little kid, grandpa just retired from the mill or whatever. And I'm not stereotyping. I'm saying the word retire is almost like in my generation, children of 70. It was almost like a word of an attainment or a birthright that you were going to attain.
Yeah.
And it really, if you step back from it, it's really a convoluted
and it's
term,
especially now because coming back to health and wellness, people are living longer.
Thank goodness.
Right. Like people used to retire at
science.
Right. But they used to retire at 65. Now they were going to live to like 70 something, 75. Now, if I retired, it's like, think about that.
110.
Like, but think about like how young you look and you seem, right? 65 is like 7 years away from you. So that would be like, right. That's to be like, it's 7 years from now. If you came to me and said, hey, I'm having a retirement party, I'm like, what the
retiring for what?
Retiring for what?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, why? That's what I mean. Like, I think just times have changed. We've gotten healthier as a society, or longevity has increased as a society.
I don't think I have even started my next thing. I don't even know what my next
thing
is.
Yes.
But I've said this multiple times in the last 40 years. Like, I don't know what my next thing is, but I'm ready for it. Like, I feel that way now. My next thing, whatever that ends up being.
I mean, I'm 46. I feel like I'm just figuring life out. I'm just getting started. I'm literally just getting started at 46.
Yeah, and believe me, we're not special. It's just it's a mindset.
Yeah.
And I guess why I'm pushing back so much is the old framework of retirement does not appeal to me because it doesn't seem to be a good way to live. From my very limited vantage point, what does that even mean? Like being retired. So I get a stipend of some kind from investments or from the government. I cumulatively put that over here. My wife puts hers over here. And then if the grandkids are all grown up now, we don't have any kind of real, grandparent responsibilities for this day. Are we going to sit on the couch and watch daytime afternoon talk? I mean,
or travel. But am I going to travel 365 days out of the year?
Right.
No, I'm not.
I just don't know what is retirement for us Gen Xers. What is the concept of retirement supposed to look like? I'm the one who's making the rules. But ultimately, what is because my parents' generation, baby boomers, retirement didn't look like my grandparents' generation retirement, and I'm sure theirs didn't look like theirs either.
Yes.
You see what I mean?
I think what we were taught or what we were told is retirement is you get a good job, you make good money, you save money, you put money in your retirement account, your 401k, your IRA. When you get to 65, you look at how much money you have. You do the formula. If I have X amount and I can pull out 4% a year, I can live comfortably without a job off my investment income for how many years? Like that was what we were told. Even when I started working, you meet with a financial planner, we're going to set you up for retirement. Okay, what does that mean? We're going to put money in the IRA. We're going to put money here, and we're going to show you how this compounds. And when you get to 65 years old, you're going to have $7 million, and you can take out this amount of money every year and still leave money for your kids at 95. I'm like, cool, let's do that. Right now, I'm like, I don't want to do that. I still put money away and save just to have. And my hope is to never have to use any of the money I'm putting away, and I can give it to my kids. I can pass on or use it for charity or give it away. Like I don't ever want to have to get to a point in my life where I now have to rely on all the money I've saved to pay for myself to live. I want to keep building the firm and creating this legacy and doing cool shit and being involved in cool things. And yeah, I plan on being a cool fucking 80-year-old. Like, let's just be real. Like, I'm going to be that. I don't want to be that guy just fishing and just sitting on a dock somewhere. That's just not me.
Oh, and hey, I got friends that are big hunters and fishers.
Yeah,
I got
great.
I got a circle of friends who are at that 30, 35 years, you know, in their careers. They're looking forward to retirement and they got plans. God bless you.
Absolutely.
I'm not demonizing.
No,
I'm just saying, I said, as I'm trying to understand their lifestyle, they look at me and they don't understand why I want to go do this, and this. Don't you want to slow down? This has been said to me ever since I hit like 53, 55. Like even when this podcast thing started taking, why would you want to add that complexity to your life? But it's aggravating, you know. And I fought against that mindset for a long time, not in a negative way, but I confront it a lot because it's brought to me a lot by folks, and I think it's just. I guess I'm wired in a way that I just don't. I fight against idleness, Rocco, whether it's mental or whether it's activity-wise. I fight against idleness. I don't. I think there's more to do, either accomplish or just have fun. There's more things to engage with.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. And I think as I've gotten older, I've gotten faster. Like I move faster.
Well, you have to.
Well,
because they're quick. They're the younger generation's pretty quick.
Some of them are, yes, absolutely. I agree. But I think because I look at life now as there's so much out there to accomplish and do. I think when you're younger, you have a limited scope. You have a limited viewpoint, right? Because you only know what you've grown up seeing and what you've been told. Once because when I was in my 20s, I saw the world like this. When I got into my 30s, I saw the world like this. Now I'm in my 40s. My viewpoint is so wide.
It's a big oyster. Huh?
It's a big oyster. I'm like, oh my God, there's so much stuff to do. So I have to move extremely fast. And, the speed I operate at now is probably 10x what it was 10 years ago.
Right.
But that's because I've made that conscious effort and decision to say, there's more to do. There's a whole bunch of shit out there to see. How do I do it? The only way I'm going to do it, no one's going to give it to me. Yeah. Right. I've got to earn it and work for it. And how do I get it quicker? By moving faster and operating in a more efficient and faster way.
Yeah. And also what I've noticed about life is that, and this might be very specific to me, but maybe not. A lot of the cool things I was involved with when in my teens, in my 20s and 30s that I continued to be involved with. Yeah. A lot of other people, famous people, have been doing the same thing into their 50s, 60s. It never became like the childish things that I was involved with at one time, as they were labeled, continued to be a part of my life, and so many others as we've gotten older, that it didn't ebb away into like a new adult section of my life. It just carried on. Music being the biggest thing. Yeah. To see my rock heroes in their 70s, some of them early 80s, still doing that. Yeah. No wonder it's hard to mentally framework that, hey, I got to retire at some point, right? Retire from what?
Well,
Jimmy Page is 77 years old, man. I mean, come on.
I think music. I always joke, like, as I'm driving into the office in the morning, like I usually have my like radio like blaring, like usually listen to like heavy rock or like something like really. Of
course.
I'm like, I wonder if my employees ever saw me pull up and heard me like listening to Disturbed or the Deftones or Pantera. They'd be like,
yeah.
Would that make sense to them? Would I make sense to them anymore? They're like, what? Like, I thought he was like a serious lawyer. Like, he's listening to fucking like heavy metal music on his way to the office. Like, it's crazy, but to me, that keeps me young.
That's my point.
It keeps you young.
That's my point. It's like that, whether it's music or whatever else it is, it's like as the Gen Xers continue to get older, they didn't stop doing these things.
No, yeah,
and find new adult things to do.
No, I can't.
And maybe that might be a little different from prior generations too. Maybe some of their childish things did ebb away.
Yeah,
because
it
wasn't
the adults
internet.
in the room.
There was could be.
Yeah,
they had a war to fight. It was different.
Yes.
But I'm still listening to this. I mean, I'm still listening to the same bands I am today that I was 40 years ago. And some of these bands are still out there.
Yeah. I still listen to all the stuff I listened to in college.
That's what I mean. Like
in high school.
And so it's still a relevant part of your life.
100%.
So
I was jamming to it on my way here, man.
I guess why, and music's probably the ultimate lane to talk about, because it does not age. It's a constant thing in most of our lives.
Yes.
And that path continues to go when it comes to rock and roll, especially, and what everything came from rock and roll.
Yes.
All the other genres. But the rock and roll continued to go forward. And if anything, that can keep you, quote unquote, young, because that's sure done it for me.
And what I think is so interesting too, like today's music, I don't listen to as much. And I don't know. So I can't talk to today's music, but music from growing up and even into my early 20s, every song invoked an emotion. Like, it was very emotional to listen to music in a good way, right? It made you feel a certain way. The lyrics did, the rhythm, the beat. So when I listen to certain songs, like, it brings me back to those times of my life.
Younger.
Yeah, and that's where I think the power is. And I think that's why, like, there's a power in music in keeping us mentally young. Because I know that if I'm
so true.
If I'm driving to the office, I'm like, it's gonna be a crazy day. Like, I need like some music to get me in the right vibe.
It's like energy. I used to work in multiple offices, but before I became a salesperson, I worked in customer service. I sat at a cubicle, right? We were actually allowed to bring a little radio in our cube. We kept it very low. So I was probably like 25, 26 years old, and I'd wear my little suit and to work and all this shit. And I'd be over there like jamming out the Led Zeppelin and Kiss and Black Sabbath. And these folks around me are like, you still listen to that stuff?
Yep.
I mean, you still like, you still listen? Like, well, I'm thinking, well, what the hell are you listening to?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, whoa.
Or people that don't listen to music. I always, one of my good friends, he's a lawyer. I'm like, what do you listen to in the car? Talk radio, talk sports. I'm like, do you ever listen to music? He's like, not really. I'm like, how do you
Some
fucking
people
enjoy
are wired?
life?
Yeah, they're wired differently. Yeah.
Like, how do you not listen to music, dude? Like, it's crazy.
Well, the further on that conversation I would have with them, I said, listen, man, I used to go get my Diet Coke from the vending machine. I'd walk back to my cubicle. I'd put some Kiss on, and I'd be just doing my work. And I said, look, man, don't you see? It's like I put this caffeine in one arm, and I put this rock and roll in the other arm, and it's like it goes into my veins, and it just makes me want to crawl out of my skin. I feel like I can work for 12 hours.
Yeah. Yes.
It's like a vitamin on steroids.
100%.
It's like what I'm in the bigger picture of the conversation, that stuff, I believe, has kept me young. Look around this room.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's rock and F and roll for me specifically.
Yes.
But hitting an open A chord with the Gibson Les Paul into a Marshall tube amp, and the power of that, whether I was 25 or 60 or when I'm 90, the power of that chord smacking on my chest out of that tube amp, turned up to 10, that will always still feel the same.
Yeah. Music,
nothing young or old with that.
No, it's powerful.
It's power, man.
It is.
It's powerful.
And that's
for me. I can only speak for myself.
For me too. I mean, I literally have a playlist on my phone for speaking. When I do a speaking engagement, there are certain songs I put on this playlist that I listen because they get me in the right frame, in the right state of mind. Even when I'm in the office, like sometimes I'll be at my desk, I'll have my headphones in, and people think I'm on a call. I'm literally listening to some like heavy ass like rock music. But I'm like, because for some reason, like even with how loud it is in the lyrics, like I can focus, and it just puts me in a zone. And people think, "Oh, you're on the phone." I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm just
it's an emotional trigger.
It is,
and I'm confident. The softer types of music that people love too. It's a lyrics and music in general. It's an emotional trigger. But I think that's the component too of why Gen Xers, specifically our generation, where it's a little different than baby boomers. The baby boomers still love their music, their Elvis and their Stones and the Who and all. I get it, but there's just something about the Gen X, the music that we encountered that we have carried on. Almost like we wear it like a badge. It's nuts.
I mean, I grew up in the grunge era, right? Like Nirvana. When like I remember listening to Nirvana's first album. I was like, holy shit, what is this? Like it was and I remember it's like in junior high, like in my garage with a little boombox, lifting weights in my garage to Nirvana. It's like, and it was just, there was something, it was music like nothing we've ever heard.
No, it was a game changer.
It was a game, and it made you feel this emotion, like this, and it's so hard to explain. You can almost feel it when when I think back of the first time I heard "Smells Like Teen Spirits," which is kind of the iconic song, like the emotion that song pulled out of you. You just felt something.
Certainly.
It was a music that made you, and I don't see that today in a lot of songs that are out today.
No, music, it's too easy for us at the age that we are, especially me, to downgrade the kids' music. I won't do that. Every generation has the music of their generation that they fall in love with, and some will take that into adulthood and beyond. We happen to, a lot of Gen Xers did that. Thus, why classic hits radio is so popular across the country, because that,
or 90s
70s,
alternative,
80s, 90s, that 3 decades, those music, those hits out of there become so popular even today. But I won't denigrate the music that has come after it all. I just wonder about the impact. Will it have the same impact on them as they get older, or will they just move on to something else? Will their music have the same impact on them as it did on ours?
Well, I think so, because I'll give you an example. Gabe, like when he went to the Drake concert, I'm like, why do you like Drake? And his response was, Drake was my childhood. Like they grew up listening to Drake music, which I never really was a fan of him. Like he's got some good songs, but that was his childhood. Like, so it made him remember his childhood. That's why, at 21, 22 years old when he went, it was such an important concert for him, because this was a symbol of his childhood. So I think there is a level that I think they will carry into. But the problem I see is the music changes so fast now, and there's so much technology. Like, is it really music anymore?
They have
or is it technology?
Now. Is it technology? And they also, if it is classified as music, I would venture to say that their generation, the millennials too, they view music as being very disposable, meaning like I can download it for 99 cents, or just stream it, or just steal it, whatever. But it has no intrinsic value. When we were younger, we had to go purchase our media. We had to purchase our records, our tapes, our CDs. We had to actually pay. Now, but we got a physical, tangible thing to take home.
Lyrics card.
Right. So we were more invested in the purchase and the acquisition. And it kind of, I think it might have meant more to us.
I mean, just going to the record store and just looking when new CDs came out, just like waiting for that new CD to come out. It was different. Going there, and
it was different.
Yeah, it was. Then wondering like, hey, this one song I love on the CD, will they release a single?
Right.
Like that was always the big question. I got to buy the whole fucking album, or are they just going to release the single that I can buy for $2 instead of spending $12 on the actual whole album?
Yeah, and
that was a dilemma.
Yeah, it is, and I think that and you're being the tail end of Gen X. You were the last group. Your group there was the last group that really understood, I think, tangible media purchases. DVDs, CDs,
tapes,
albums. I was more my generation, but the idea of acquiring a piece of media and then owning it,
Yeah,
and then ingesting it and digging it, right?
I was
It's
also
different now. It's
I
different
was the
now.
generation that would record songs off the radio.
Of course.
You listen to the top 10 at 10 and like waiting for the song to come on and hit play and record on your stereo. Like, I was that. Or making mixtapes for my girlfriend.
Well, we didn't have the web. So, you know, we were just limited. But I think that back to the conversation, I think the music might be the common thread through a lot of us that keeps a lot of us looking at our ages and those who really, you know, can really work hard on our health and so forth. We don't feel the quote unquote age that numerically we are. And I think that bucks up against what traditional retirement means, right?
Yeah, I don't feel 46. Like I don't I remember thinking like when I'm in my 40s, I'm gonna be so old, like I'm almost basically dead. I mean, when you're a kid, because when I was growing up, like when I remember my Uncle Lou threw a 30th birthday party for him in my grandmother's garage. I don't know why I have this memory, but it was like, oh, they were busting his balls. You're so old. You're over the hill. I'm like 30. Like I'm going to be 50 soon. And I still feel like I'm 20.
Right.
So it's just like our perspective of time when we were younger and age was like, okay, when I'm 40, I'm basically at the end of the road.
Right.
Like I'm probably like 5 years away from fucking calling it quits. I'm over. Now I'm 46. I'm like, I'm just getting started. I feel great. Like, I don't think I look 46, maybe, I don't know. But I think our perception, and I think Gen X is the interesting generation in the middle. Because I know so many Gen Xers that, like friends of mine and their wives and their significant others, none of them look our age.
Right.
Like people, they're like, I wouldn't have guessed you were in your late 40s.
Right.
Or I said like mid to late 30s at most. And I think there's something about our generation where I think we came up through a certain time, started taking care of our health.
I think it was a Peter Pan thing. I think we really refused to get older. Like we don't acknowledge that we're getting older.
No, I am Peter Pan. I will.
We and we're now we're approaching the age where traditionally, you know, this is funny. We could probably end it on this, but I saw a meme.
Okay,
that had me cracking up. So. You're a little bit too young to remember the Brady Bunch, but you've seen reruns.
I've watched them as a kid.
You've seen the reruns, right?
Yes, I've watched them as a kid on TV.
Okay. So was it Alice who
was the housekeeper?
Yes.
Yeah.
The age that she portrayed in there was 46.
Yeah, I know. The Golden Girls. I saw the same thing with the Golden Girls.
46.
Yes. That's all right. It's my age. And looking back, I'm like, I felt like she was in her 70s. I felt like she was like a 70-year-old.
Right.
That's the same with the Golden Girls. I think I read the same thing. It said one of the Golden Girls, the youngest one, was in their
the oldest one, I think. We played the oldest.
The one who was the youngest one in the show, the age on the show was, I think, either late 40s or early 50s.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm like, what?
So either Hollywood got it wrong or Hollywood got it right, and we just changed as a society.
I think Gen X has definitely done a good job of, and I think you're so right that Peter Pan's, we refuse to get old.
We refuse to grow up.
We refuse to, because there is a level of childish nature we all have.
There's no question,
and I think that keeps us.
Or our parents let us run amok. I mean, and sometimes in a very good way, but we basically.
Yeah, we ran amok.
We were free range children, a lot of us.
It was like Lord of the Flies.
As it be compared to today. And we're the last generation that were raised that way.
Yeah. It's like, I'll be home when it gets dark. No way to get in contact with me.
Yeah.
Just hope we come home. And we always did.
Right.
But like it was truly like run amok.
Yeah.
So had a couple bucks, you go get something to eat. Stop at a friend's house. We got fed. Someone fed us at some point during the day. That's what it was. It might have been someone we just met. Like, oh, you're the new kid we're playing baseball with. Your mom's going to feed us? Cool. Let's go there. Like, that's really what it was. We were the last generation to just do whatever.
And that's probably why we're pushing back so hard on the traditional ages for retirement and all these built-in societal quote unquote norms that we grew up thinking this is how it was.
Yeah.
And now we're here.
Yes.
Or getting close to being here. And we're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. If I ever have one of those motorized scooters, it's because it's going to be awesome. I'm just going to get it just to drive around the office, just to be a dick.
Oh, he'll get one.
I get old.
It'll either be on Temu or it'll be on Amazon or TikTok, but he'll end up buying one anyway. All right, partner. This was a great
It
one.
was fun, man. Good
Yeah,
times.
we started talking about health, which led into retirement.
Now we're talking about freaking
Scooters riding around a lawyer's
man,
office.
listen.
Hey, there will, if he does buy one, it will be on TikTok.
I promise you that.
We'll see you next week.